is the Small Business Report, powered by PNC Bank. Your weekly access to all the tools you need to succeed. Stay tuned for expert advice from business owners, subject matter experts, and government agencies. Each week, you'll learn tips on how to start, grow, and finance your business. The Small Business Report is supported by the DC Small Business Development Center, a partnership program nationally accredited by the Association of America's SBCDs and funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration, Howard University, with Howard University serving as the network's headquarters. Stay tuned. Coming up next, your host, Carl Brown, State Executive Director of the District of Columbia Small Business Development Center.
Hi, this is Jermaine Johnson, Regional President for PNC Bank. At PNC, we believe that we play an important role in building strong, vibrant, more self-reliant communities. Our responsibility to help drive meaningful change has never felt more important than in this moment. Visit pnc.com/diversity to learn more. The PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
Every 14 seconds, someone, somewhere, learns they have breast cancer, the most commonly diagnosed cancer worldwide. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation unites the best minds in science. A global team collaborating across disciplines and pursuing their boldest ideas. The scientists we support have been involved in every major breakthrough in breast cancer research. Our progress can be measured in millions of survivors. By investing in every aspect of breast cancer research, we're deepening our understanding of how cancer begins and why it sometimes spreads. Only with your help can we maintain our progress. Only by saving research now can we save lives tomorrow.
You know your body, and you know when something's off, when something doesn't feel quite right. Don't ignore symptoms like fatigue, joint pain, rashes, and fever. They could be signs of lupus. Listen to your body. Take care of yourself. We're here to help you take control of your health. Learn how at BeFierceTakeControl.org. Brought to you by the Lupus Foundation of America and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Welcome to the Small Business Report here on Sirius XM Channel 141. And today we're going to have Dr. Sarah Haynes and Mr. Shervin Pishevar, who are philanthropists, entrepreneurs, and global business owners. They are investors. They have invested a bunch of money in Howard University, $3 million, and we're looking forward to talking to them. This segment is powered by PNC Bank, and I just want to say, folks, be kind, be supportive, be a friend. Take time to develop yourself, and you can always be a better you. Be positive, stay positive. It's not where you line up, it's where you end up. So stay tuned. This is the Small Business Report here on Sirius XM Channel 141. Your host, Carl Brown.
Hi, this is Jermaine Johnson, Regional President for PNC Bank. At PNC, we believe that we play an important role in building strong, vibrant, more self-reliant communities. Our responsibility to help drive meaningful change has never felt more important than in this moment. Visit pnc.com/diversity to learn more. The PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
Dealing with car repairs can feel like a lose-lose situation. The hassle, the headaches, the cost, it's just too much. That's why I called CarShield. They're helping me save time and money. It's a win-win. CarShield's administrators make everything super easy. They handle the paperwork and expensive payments so I don't have to. CarShield saves me thousands, and I get to choose the mechanic to do the work. CarShield's administrators take care of the rest. Plans from CarShield even provide coast-to-coast roadside assistance, rental coverage, and trip reimbursement, all at no additional charge. CarShield has monthly coverage options to fit your budget, and they've helped over 1 million drivers. CarShield is a win-win. They help get me back on track when I'm in a pinch, and I'm not on the hook to pay thousands. Get coverage today and see why CarShield cars go farther. Visit carshield.com/report to save 10%. That's carshield.com/report. A deductible may apply.
Hello, this is Carl Brown, host of the Small Business Report on SiriusXM Channel 141, HUR Voices. Every Thursday at noon, we bring you the stories of small business owners and subject matter experts that can help you start, grow, or sustain your business. Please be sure to tune in every Thursday at noon on SiriusXM Channel 141, HUR Voices to hear the Small Business Report. Welcome back to the Small Business Report here on SiriusXM Channel 141. And as I promised, we have Dr. Sarah Haynes and Shervin Pishevar. And they are brother and sister, philanthropists, business people. I just can't say enough. They are magnificent individuals, and we're going to learn a lot about them today. It is going to be a wonderful show. And so, folks, just listen in, get a notepad out, take some notes, and let's go with it. So before we get into the background with specificity, tell us a little bit about where you're currently living and what keeps you both busy today.
I live in Miami Beach. I grew up in Washington, D.C., in Silver Spring, Maryland, and running our venture fund and investing in new companies, early stage technology companies. I've been doing that for quite a while, and really love it. I love finding amazing entrepreneurs and backing them. And Sarah's actually my sister, and we've been working together for a long time, and through the venture fund, through the family office, and we're excited to be working with Howard University, where my father got his PhD, and we endowed a professorship in his name, the Dr. Abraham Pishevar professorship in entrepreneurship and finance, and we're excited about bringing some of that Silicon Valley, startup, world to Howard, and helping start companies, having entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, college students, grad students start new companies, and we just want to kind of pass on what we've learned from our father and onto the next generation.
And I also lead the Pishevar Family Haynes Foundation, which is where the gift was given for $3 million from the foundation, and to honor his legacy and all that he's done. My main focus right now is working on Dr. Haynes Collective, and then scaling that out for coaching practice to be able to help with enterprise. For everyone to be able to have access to coaching and mentorship, which is a really important value for us to be able to pay it forward. I was previously chief of staff in Silicon Valley at the venture capital firm that Shervin founded and managed, and was a Georgetown faculty as well as a postdoctoral fellowship there. And I've continued to be on the faculty in the School of Medicine, where I worked at Howard University on an NIH grant. So it's good to be back at Howard.
Oh, yeah, it's good to have you back. So as siblings, you both experienced quite the upbringing as children of the Iranian Revolution in 1978. Tell us a little bit about this experience and your journey to the U.S.
Absolutely. Well, my father got a scholarship to come get his master's in 1976 So we came to America, we were quite young. And then he finished his master's in 1978, and we went back to Iran. And my dad was promoted under the Shah to head of radio and television for a big chunk of the country. And then the revolution started right in 1978, 79. And my dad actually, we found out years later, because he was too humble to talk about it, helped a lot of people, get out of the country. And he was put on the execution list by Khomeini, and he had to go in hiding. And so our life kind of became like the Argo movie, like where my dad had to go into hiding. He had to escape out of the country. We didn't see him for 2 years. He got back to Washington, D.C., and me, my sister, my brother, and my mom were there. And we got out and joined him, and kind of started that kind of American dream journey. I mean, we came to America with $35 in our collective pockets. And my dad, even though he had a master's, it was pretty hard for an Iranian during the Iran hostage crisis to get a job in media. And so he drove a taxi, the black and orange taxis in Washington, D.C. And my mom, who was a teacher, became a maid, and then later became an entrepreneur. She was taking computer programming classes in Montgomery College in Montgomery County, Maryland, when I was little. So my first interfaces with computers came because of my mom. And so we were inspired by our parents because their work ethic was so incredible. I mean, my dad would work in the taxi until 10 p.m. We would wait. My mom would cook like a Persian. I don't know if you like Persian food.
Hey, I'm a New Yorker. I love all kind of food.
Yeah, my mom was the best cook, is the best cook ever, and she would make like a Persian feast, and we'd wait till like 10 p.m. out of respect for our father to arrive home from a hard day's work, 15, 16, 17-hour days. We didn't have any choice but to succeed, because we saw how hard they worked, how much they sacrificed. So my brother became a lawyer, my sister became a PhD professor, and I was supposed to be the MD, PhD in the family, the doctor in the family. Every Iranian immigrant family, wants one of their kids to be a doctor, a lawyer, a professor, and then so I became the rebel and went to Berkeley, and I got lucky because my freshman year, the first internet browser came out, NCSA Mosaic, and I just saw the world completely change in front of me. I realized how important that was. The browser. I was in the computer science lab when I saw it, and the world just kind of, completely leaped forward at that moment. And it was basically a portal to knowledge, information, and that at the end of the day is the thesis of what we want to do with Howard, is to pass on knowledge that our parents, as educators, taught us to value education and knowledge, and that it's a lifelong thing, and we're constantly trying to learn and grow and be better. Part of my sister's expertise is I've been lucky to have a sister who's an expert in coaching too, because she's coached me as well and mentored me and made me a better human being, a better leader. And I think with Howard, we have an opportunity with the Abraham Pishevar, professorship in finance and entrepreneurship to really continue to institutionalize what our father, started. Think about he was driving a taxi while getting a PhD at Howard University. It was nonstop grinding, work and learn, work and learn, work and learn. And so that embedded itself into our very souls, our minds, and our character. And so this is kind of a way of giving back to the roots of where my father's education, reached the culmination of his dreams. He always wanted to become a PhD and a professor, and he ended up becoming a PhD and a professor after Howard, and he reached his dream. And he's almost 84. February 9th was his birthday. So just
Oh, wow. Happy birthday to him.
Yeah, I have a scheduled walk with him. He walks 6 miles a day. He's my best friend. I want to pass the baton to my sister before I get emotional talking about him. But
oh no, that's
really
okay.
want to meet him, Carl.
Hey, that's
Someday
okay.
You gotta meet him when we bring him to Howard.
Yeah, I want to meet him because let me tell you, man, I wish I had my dad here too. I mean, he put four kids through college, 4 boys through college.
Wow.
So I mean, he was a
What was
sky
his
cap.
name?
Carl, I'm a junior.
Oh, you're
So,
nice.
yeah. So yeah, he put 4 of us through college. I mean, the first one was a lawyer, the second one was a police officer, I'm the third, and then the youngest one is a lawyer. So yeah, we got, similar.
Very similar.
I got
That's incredible.
2 masters. So, I mean, and he was a sky cap. My dad was a sky cap for 33 years at JFK International Terminal. So you probably walked right by him or saw him at some point.
That's where we came to America.
Exactly.
We landed in America at the international airport at JFK.
At JFK, yeah. And my dad...
in the 70s and the 80s.
Yep.
When we came back.
And he was there. He was there. So look, we got to go to commercial. So we'll be right back after these messages.
It's Madison, the Black Eagle.
This is Karen Hunter.
This is Clay King.
Al Sharpton. Hey, it's Lauren Coates.
Hey, this is Godfrey. Sirius XM.
Urban View.
1, 2, 6.
Urban View is where Americans get to see what America is supposed to look like.
We are free to express our opinion as long as they're honest.
From sunup till sundown.
All are welcome, but be careful if you come in, because your life might be changed.
I'm super excited to be able to engage folks.
And that's what's happening right now.
Urban View. Keep it real.
Channel 126.
Dealing with car repairs can feel like a lose-lose situation. The hassle, the headaches, the cost, it's just too much. That's why I called CarShield. They're helping me save time and money. It's a win-win. CarShield's administrators make everything super easy. They handle the paperwork and expensive payments so I don't have to. CarShield saves me thousands, and I get to choose the mechanic to do the work. CarShield's administrators take care of the rest. Plans from CarShield even provide coast-to-coast roadside assistance, rental coverage, and trip reimbursement, all at no additional charge. CarShield has monthly coverage options to fit your budget, and they've helped over 1 million drivers. CarShield is a win-win. They help get me back on track when I'm in a pinch, and I'm not on the hook to pay thousands. Get coverage today and see why CarShield cars go farther. Visit carshield.com/report to save 10%. That's carshield.com/report. A deductible may apply.
Tune in to The Skin Deep Show with host Sharon Morton as she engages your senses and examines the issues affecting Black skin and its treatment in every facet of life, from beauty, health, and wellness to social injustice and mass incarceration. It's a show designed to stimulate your mind, body, and soul. Don't miss it. The Skin Deep Show, every Friday at 5:30 p.m. and Sunday at 4:30 p.m. on SiriusXM Channel 141 HUR Voices.
Welcome back to the Small Business Report here on SiriusXM Channel 141. And so, Shervin, we were talking about growing up in D.C. Let's hear about what you did in high school.
So we grew up, when we first came to America, we moved into a place in White Oak in Silver Spring. I think it was called El Dorado Towers at the time, but then it was called The Point. And the Point.
Yep, The Point.
I don't know if you remember those 3 big towers. And it was the most diverse place you could imagine. I've always thought there should be a show called The Point, just to kind of, because what we saw was like, you're talking about 1980 on, right? 80, 81 on. and you're talking about, you know, hip hop culture. You're talking about, my sister came home one day, she's like, I know how to break dance. And all she knew how to do was that initial, like, step before you actually get on the floor. She never got on the floor. But we always laugh about that. But we basically just grew up in a incredibly diverse, open culture where everybody accepted each other. There wasn't, I don't remember any negativity. Everybody accepted that we were Iranian. The only places we had any issues was in like Calverton, Maryland, where my sister and I, when we had first come, before moving back to the point, we got, attacked for being Iranian with hoses.
Oh my God.
And that was not a diverse environment.
Right.
And so, but in diversity, we found security. In diversity, we found acceptance. In diversity, we found a community. And so that gave us, I think, a really great platform, because ultimately we then I ended up going for Montgomery County Public Schools. I was in ESOL because I didn't know English when we first came. And then from ESOL, English for Speakers of Other Language, I went to Gifted and Talented in elementary school. And then they tested us and they picked 100 kids. We were kind of the guinea pigs to go to a magnet school at Montgomery Blair High School. And Montgomery Blair was really like a college campus. It's a huge school in Silver Spring, Maryland. There were 2,300 students at the time, from 9th to 12th grade. And it was probably like over 80% African-American. And I've always said those experiences in Silver Spring, in Washington, D.C., at the point, at Montgomery Blair, really shaped my worldview and our family's worldview, and allowed us to see the world in a unbiased way, in a crystal clear way, without bias. And as I became an entrepreneur, as I became an investor, I was able to, use that framework of diversity to see a world with a diverse set of challenges and a diverse set of opportunities. And invest in entrepreneurs from all backgrounds, whether they're immigrants, whether they're African-American, whether they're Asian, whatever they are, it didn't matter. All that mattered was talent and opportunity. And so going into Silicon Valley, I became the first Iranian full partner in Silicon Valley. There wasn't a full partner there, and I joined Menlo Ventures. And in my first 18 months there, I led the investments in Uber when it was a tiny company. It was like 2,000 people. And the irony of that was I grew up in a Washington, D.C. taxi. And my dad would take me to school in the black and orange taxi. And at the time, I used to be like embarrassed of, being dropped off at the school in a taxi. And then I became proud of it over time, because that's legacy. That tells you he knew what he was doing. My father thought about all of those things. He purposely dropped us off at school in the taxi because it built strength. My mom would pack lunches with very Iranian lunches, like lamb tongue sandwich and stuff like that, and the kids would be like, "What the hell is that?" And they had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I'm having my mom's, lamb tongue sandwich. And so, that built character and integrity. And over time, we were able to kind of be proud of that and use that kind of open-minded framework to succeed in backing, a diverse set of entrepreneurs and companies. But I'll tell you, like, when I first went to Silicon Valley, and I became a partner, there were people that were, I had one venture capitalist trying to block me from a deal my first year as a VC, rookie year as a VC. And he basically told me, "You're not from here, you don't belong here." Right? Just straight up front. And so we've had to kind of fight that form of discrimination and bias. So we have a lot of empathy with that and understanding, just being Iranian, being Middle Eastern, and understanding that sometimes, we're not welcome in certain places. And, but that's not going to stop us. That's not
not at all.
Stop us from,
Not at all.
From achievement and making the world a better place. And and I've got a lot of stories that I want to share with the Howard students over time. And I also am excited about bringing other entrepreneurs, other VCs, friends of mine who, when I've told them about, and a lot of my friends know Papa Abraham. And know my father and love him like a second father. And so they're all excited about coming to Howard, Zooming in if we can't come in person, and then teaching and doing lectures, doing startup business plan contests, and so on. And all throughout our time, with our venture fund, my sister and I would host diversity events, not when it became, popular to do so, but doing it for the last 10 years. Bringing together African American entrepreneurs, investors, back in 2013, 2012, and so on, and investing in them as well. So that's been just putting it into practice. And then now with Howard, we're excited about institutionalizing it.
And if I may add, the three pillars of the foundation is to increase access for women and underrepresented to education, to health, wellness, and economic resources through technology, and empowering individuals to be able to access and have an entry to an opportunity is everything. It's something that we're so grateful for Howard University. It was a beacon of a safe haven for my father. To be able to show us that at age 55, he can get his PhD with having children, with having English not being his first language. And that really propelled me as a woman to say, he said, you can do this just as I have. And he treated me the same as my brothers. And I think that level of equity that I was exposed to in Washington, D.C., that we were exposed to Washington, D.C. in the household, to have allies, men that have opened up doors and opportunities for me to be able to pursue my education and get my postdoctoral fellowship at Georgetown, and then become a faculty member that is helping reduce infant mortality in African American cultures. And so when we look at where the disparities are in economic empowerment, that's been really a part of the thesis of everything we do, and the fabric of our foundation, of how we make decisions, value-based decisions on who we invest in, and the companies that we invest in is really about the founders and the company culture that they can set. And sometimes, when you have really hyper growth, there's a lot of things that can happen and change very quickly. And so those are lessons that we learn that we need to, be able to help share so that we can give an opportunity for individuals at Howard and in the community to see when the minority becomes a majority, there's a huge shift that happens. That's what's happening in here, Miami. We're immigrant-based city where people have grit and are hungry to have education and opportunities, and education knowledge is power. And I think that's really the foundation of why we're excited to be able to share our network and our knowledge and our experiences, and learn from the faculty and staff there as well, to have this reciprocity of knowledge and information sharing that can happen, that can really be monumentally shifting a whole generation from having generational access to wealth. And that's really the ultimate goal, is to help individuals to learn about generational wealth development through entrepreneurship, because we have to make our own opportunities when people didn't allow us to come in.
That's right.
The front door, we found the back door, the side door to get in.
That's right, the window. So look, we're gonna go to break right now. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jermaine Johnson, Regional President for PNC Bank. At PNC, we believe that we play an important role in building strong, vibrant, more self-reliant communities. Our responsibility to help drive meaningful change has never felt more important than in this moment. Visit pnc.com/diversity to learn more. The PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
Hey, Small Business Report listeners, are you a small or mid-sized business? Let BDPAtoday.com help you leverage emerging technologies and digital innovations to transform your business.
BDPAtoday.com will highlight your organization's innovations, solutions, and success stories. Let BDPAtoday.com publish your branded videos, blogs, and photos to a national tech industry audience and assist with your awareness building campaign. With BDPAtoday.com, you can network with qualified and certified tech professionals and get access to developers, gamers, hackers, and interns to join your team for short or long-term projects.
Visit BDPAtoday.com for true digital transformation that will drive competitive advantage to your organization.
That's BDPAtoday.com.
Hello, this is Carl Brown, host of the Small Business Report on SiriusXM Channel 141, HUR Voices. Every Thursday at noon, we bring you the stories of small business owners and subject matter experts that can help you start, grow, or sustain your business. Please be sure to tune in every Thursday at noon on SiriusXM Channel 141, HUR Voices to hear the Small Business Report. Welcome back to the Small Business Report here on SiriusXM, powered by PNC Bank. So, folks, we have Dr. Sarah Haynes and Shervin Pishevar, and they are discussing their life as Iranian immigrants to America. So, in entrepreneurship. So, how do you feel your experience in immigrating to the U.S. has influenced your success as entrepreneurs and business leaders? Because you two are business leaders here in America.
In terms of, coming to America, if my father and mother had chosen any other place in the world, like if we had moved to somewhere in Europe or elsewhere, we would not have had the opportunities that we have had and blessed to have in this country. And so at the end of the day, no matter what's happening in America in the present day, we are highly optimistic about opportunity for all, and fighting for making sure that opportunity is equally available to everyone. And so that's why the Pishevar Haynes Foundation is so focused on diversity and opportunity and entrepreneurship. And, in terms of coming here, we had a couple things going for us. One, we had a great school system in Montgomery County, Maryland. We had magnet schools. We had really great educational support systems from ESOL to Gifted and Talented to Magnet. We had a family that pushed education first, and literally to the point of our father getting his PhD at Howard while driving a taxi, right? And so all of us were on that path, similar, Carl, to your father and how he inspired you guys to become lawyers and police officers and so on. So I think all of that combined, America is an incredible place for entrepreneurship, for education, for ambition and hard work. And anywhere where ambition and hard work and education is not allowed to succeed, those systemic breaks need to be fixed. And part of what I'm very excited about with what we're doing with Howard University is that we're able to institutionalize some of the things that made us succeed in America, and then identify the systemic breaks that keep doors closed to people, and that's part of how, you know, I think the next phase of the civil rights movement. We actually had a dinner with Reverend Jesse Jackson at my home, and and with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and that he taught us that. He was talking about the fourth wave of the civil rights movement being about economic liberation.
Yes.
And that's what entrepreneurship is about, because without economic entrepreneurship, economic liberation through entrepreneurship, it's difficult to achieve true freedom. And that kind of prosperity, which is the promise of America, prosperity and happiness and opportunity, is something that should be equally available to everyone that wants to achieve that. And those doors need to be slammed open and kept open. And so, you know, that's part of my answer to how and why we're doing what we're doing with Howard.
I would also add that, you know, as immigrants, when we came to America, the land of opportunity as a woman, you know, the American dream was alive and still is alive. And I think people want to have a negative narrative about what is happening, you know, throughout the world. But when you compare ourselves to other places in the world, we're a very young country. You know, we only have 200 years of history. And a lot of that has been on the backs of African Americans, hard work and strength, and sharing knowledge and sharing community and having a collective understanding of community. And I think that's really why I called Dr. Haynes Collective the Collective, because we need to go back to the times where we all shared, you know, what we had, and information is such an important part of that. Knowing where to go, knowing what to do, knowing how to navigate the system that was established, and how to break those systems is really the next generation. And what I'm excited about is seeing the next generation coming up is they're not tolerating any of the nonsense.
No, they're not. Thank God
that
they're
has
not
been going on for years.
Yeah.
So it's painful to see the trauma that people have been through, but with what I'm excited about as psychologists that study trauma is resilience. And how do you take trauma and turn it into the phoenix that rises from the ashes? And those adversities are what makes us strong and makes us able to be able to solve problems and be resourceful. And those are the things I hire for. I look for people who've been through adversity and have an ability to look from a diverse lens. And we know that the companies that have diverse teams are actually much more profitable. So the bottom line is actually added advantage when we have this lens of a multidisciplinary, multicultural, multiracial, multi-generational perspective.
Well, I firmly believe in that. I mean, as an athlete, I played on a lot of teams that had a lot of cultural diversity on them, ethnic diversity on them, and we all worked together for a common cause, and that was to win. And I translate that into the same thing in business. If you have a diverse team with diverse ideas, you bring them to the table and discuss them, and you have a better team, as opposed to having a group think and you have one guy that says, hey, this is what we're going to do, and you might be going down the wrong path. So I definitely believe in that. So what sort of life lessons and tips can you share for businesses seeking to launch, especially during this pandemic?
That's a great question. I mean, I think you know, some of the principles that I start with my with entrepreneurs I've been blessed to work with is typically I try to inject as much ambition as possible into their vision and their plans, their business plans. And part of that is a lesson around, you know, I use this example of like, you have the same amount of hours every day, every week to apply to any idea. And so if you wanted to start a coffee shop business, right, let's say, as an example, you could run one coffee shop and spend 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, 120 hours a week running that coffee shop. Or you could be Howard Schultz and own all of Starbucks and work the same amount of hours, 80, 100, 120 hours over, decades building that empire. And so the, part of this is having a mental framework where you have the confidence and the belief in yourself that you too can create an empire, that you too can build something of scale with global impact that can impact millions, if not billions of people. And part of that is, some of the areas that my sister and I work with and in her coaching is around, imposter syndrome and making people believe in themselves and not question themselves that they're not capable, that they're an imposter, that they're not capable of doing something. And that's a lot of that is not just coming from within ourselves, but it's coming from without. It's coming from our surroundings, our communities themselves, and our world telling us that we can't do something. And in fact, we got to rebel against that and believe in ourselves and go for the biggest ideas we can. If at the end of the day, a personal decision as an entrepreneur is like, I just want to run a small business and that's my ambition, great. There's a way to do that. In terms of what I do, I try to back businesses that become global brands that affect millions of people, if not billions of people. A great example was Uber, for example, backing it when it was like just a couple thousand cars and being very closely involved and helping the brilliant founder and the team in every way that I could as they expanded early on. And another company, Q Health, which is a at-home digital diagnostic platform, and you've probably seen the TV commercials about it. But Q, I backed it when it was an idea in 2013, and it has now saved so many lives during the pandemic because we can do basically like a PCR quality test at home with incredible accuracy, and it's saved my parents multiple times because we've been able to test people before they come in the home because they live with me and I take care of them. And so we part of that is just the expansion of ambition and then building the pillars of confidence so that you have confidence in your competence, and you work on your confidence, you work on your skills, you work on your knowledge, you get the coaching, you get the lessons learned, you continually grow. You're always imperfect, but you're perfectly trying to be learning and becoming a better entrepreneur. And as you do that, you can actually scale your ambitions to bigger and bigger scale.
Okay, well, look, we got to go to break real quick. Folks, we'll be right back after these messages.
Get your classic soul and Motown in Soul Town. For the Detroit sound of Aretha. To the Memphis soul of Al. Let's stick together. Or the funk of James. Wow, I feel good. And the hallway harmony of the Supremes. Make sure you stop in Soul Town, Channel 49.
Dealing with car repairs can feel like a lose-lose situation. The hassle, the headaches, the cost, it's just too much. That's why I called CarShield. They're helping me save time and money. It's a win-win. CarShield's administrators make everything super easy. They handle the paperwork and expensive payments, so I don't have to. CarShield saves me thousands, and I get to choose the mechanic to do the work. CarShield's administrators take care of the rest. Plans from CarShield even provide coast-to-coast roadside assistance, rental coverage, and trip reimbursement, all at no additional charge. CarShield has monthly coverage options to fit your budget, and they've helped over 1 million drivers. CarShield is a win-win. They help get me back on track when I'm in a pinch, and I'm not on the hook to pay thousands. Get coverage today and see why CarShield cars go farther. Visit carshield.com/report to save 10%. That's carshield.com/report. A deductible may apply.
Hi, this is Jermaine Johnson, Regional President for PNC Bank. At PNC, we believe that we play an important role in building strong, vibrant, more self-reliant communities. Our responsibility to help drive meaningful change has never felt more important than in this moment. Visit pnc.com/diversity to learn more. The PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back to the Small Business Report here on Sirius XM, channel 141, powered by PNC Bank. And folks, we have been listening to and talking to Dr. Sarah Haynes and Shervin Pishevar. They have been dropping some knowledge. Sarah, can you talk to us about the imposter syndrome just a little bit more?
Absolutely. And I think the main thing to understand about imposter syndrome is that we all have it. I have it. Shervin has it. You have it. We've been talking about this, and behind the scenes, but I think it's important to show vulnerability as leaders to say, anytime you're doing something new, you're going to have imposter syndrome because it's something you haven't done before. And so it's a natural psychological kind of conflict when you're exposed to something completely different than what you've done in the past or similar to what you've done in the past to scaffold and build on those knowledge. You have to remember you have the skill sets to be successful. You know how to project manage, you know how to manage your time, you know how to build relationships, the emotional intelligence, the EQ that we talk about, your intellectual quotient, the IQ test was really made about things that we learn in the academic world. The EQ is what we learn on the streets, the way we learn how to build relationships and network in a way that's not transactionary, but builds relationships long-term. And that's really been the thesis of learning new things and being open to new opportunities, is having these networks where people say, hey, you're really good at this. Have you tried to do this? And having an open mindset and having a growth mindset is really important. This is the work of Dweck, and she talks about this growth mindset and dealing with grit and understanding how a person that looks at a problem with frustration versus someone who looks at it as an opportunity to solve for it. And great leaders like Dr. King have always looked to see how we're going to solve this from a community approach, from a collective approach, and together we can empower our voices to be stronger. And I think that's really the relationship building that goes back to it, and being able to learn how to build from where you are and learn from people around you, mentor and find mentors and people that can help you answer the questions you may not know, because we don't have all the answers.
That's true.
So grit's really important in the thesis.
Shervin, what do you look for when you're about to invest in a company? Is it the owner, the theory behind the company, what the service or product that they're going to provide? I mean, what are some of the things that you look for that will make you pull the trigger and invest in that company?
It's a great question, Carl. In the earliest stages, typically we invest when the company is really at the idea stage. This is kind of like the pre-seed, seed, Series A levels of a company. And so there's not a lot of metrics to be able to go in and, create a financial, model saying like, yes, this investment is absolutely the right investment to make. A lot of it at that level is dependent on who's the founder, who's the founding team, who's the team around the founding team, what's their experiences. It doesn't mean that it's okay, and a lot of times it'll be their first time starting a company, and that's okay. But what you have to look for is grit, and grit comes from many different types of experiences in life. Have you encountered hardship and have you shown resilience? Have you overcome hardship? And even if you fell down, did you get back up, or did you just give up and forget about your dream, forget about your idea, or did you keep trying? And so one of the important things is that failure is okay. And that's one of the things in Silicon Valley I learned was that, a founder failing multiple times was not a death sentence. Like, it was actually a signal that someday that founder is going to make it. And one of my mantras always is, the answer is always no until you ask. And so if you keep asking, if you keep trying, there's the probability of you succeeding and getting a yes is much higher than if you just quit, because then the probability is an absolute no, right? And you chose that no, you chose that result. And that choosing no means you have no grit, means you have no resilience. And so I specifically look for founders who keep banging themselves against closed doors until they break that door down and they create opportunity out of what everybody else sees as the lack of opportunity. And so that's kind of a philosophy and a framework that's needed in the founders that I look for. And part of that diversity thesis is when you grow up in diversity, typically you're overcoming a lot of hardship as well. You're overcoming a world that did not welcome diversity. And so that's why the investing in diversity is actually a really smart thesis. It's not just about like, oh yeah, we're going to make the world a better place. Yes, we are, but it's also a great investment thesis, and investing in diverse founders and diversity because it comes with grit and resilience. It comes with that dogged spirit of not giving up and dreaming and dreaming big. And so that's one of the things. The other area is I have to believe in the product. I have to believe in the market. The market has to be really big. I look for really big TAMs, and TAMs stands for TAMS, total addressable markets. And I'll give you an example. When I was looking at Uber, a lot of investors made a mistake of thinking about Uber as a taxi business, ironically, and thinking that the total TAM, the total addressable market of the taxi business, was small. Or if looking at the black car market and saying, well, the black car market is only a few $100 million a year, so it's not a big market. It's not a big enough market for us to invest a lot of capital and risk a lot of capital. That was a huge mistake, because what Travis Kalanick, the founder of Uber, was talking about, and as I was getting to know him, his vision was to replace car ownership itself. It wasn't about being a taxi company or a black car company. It was about basically making the idea of owning a car irrelevant to the future, that you basically turn cars and transportation into a utility and create a marketplace, a two-sided marketplace that can scale globally. And that's exactly what he did. And he built a company that's doing, at this point, is the fastest growing company in history. And it's because the total addressable market was so big. And that goes back to, you got to have the grit to make a really big TAM come to life. You have to have the resilience not to give up, because the bigger the TAM, the bigger the challenges, the more complexity. You're choosing a bigger problem to solve because you're choosing something that needs to be a globally impactful solution to a problem that seemed intractable to others, but to you, to that founder, with that grit and with that vision, they saw a way to thread the needle. They saw an opportunity to solve a problem and make billions of people's lives better.
So I got one for you, a little different, but can you tell us about the Virgin Hyperloop and the future of travel?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics.
All right.
Hyperloop, it was an idea that Elon Musk, was a friend, came up with, and him and I took a trip together back in 2013, and we started talking about Hyperloop. When he started talking about Hyperloop, I immediately got it and realized that, and he was talking about Hyperloop being a solution to move people around, and I saw an opportunity to also move goods, to make commerce happen at the speed of thought. And what I mean by that is, if you think about Hyperloop, what it is essentially you create a near vacuum in a tube, and you have a pod that can move people. And my idea was to move also goods, products. And because you're in a near vacuum, you don't have the friction of air in front of the pod. So you can actually use, essentially, we designed a new type of maglev to propulsion, and you levitate the pod. There's no friction between the pod itself and the metal and the magnets, and you have the near vacuum, so there's no air friction. And so if you remove that friction, you can actually reach speeds of beyond 700 miles per hour, and you can turn cities, into metro stops. You could live in DC and work in New York. You could, build new cities in rural areas that were hard to reach. You can make the world more accessible. And then the bigger part of it was this idea of instant commerce, is making the world economy work faster, as fast as possible. So if you order something, let's say on Amazon today, there's got to be enough inventory for that product, and then that product has to be shipped. And a lot of times that product has to get on, containers onto ships. Those ships pollute the world more than all the cars in the world combined. So one, it's really bad for our planet. Two, in the global pandemic, we've seen the supply chain issues happening. You've seen these cargo ships lined up outside of Long Beach. They can't offload it. Yeah. It's stuck. You got, inflationary prices happening because you don't have any supply to build the products that you want. Wood suddenly goes up. Housing prices suddenly go up. It costs more to live, and then you have, butterfly effects, like a cargo ship suddenly hits a pipe in Laguna Beach, and suddenly you have oil spilling everywhere because the cargo ships are stuck outside the port. So you see the domino effects of all these things, and it's because we're living in a world that is not truly efficient in its commerce, and so I believe the Virgin Hyperloop and Hyperloop technologies can, that Hyperloop-like technologies can basically speed up the world. So you can order something, you can actually manufacture it, and then you can deliver it all within a 48 to 72 hour period of time. And that would actually help build, a global economy full of opportunity and with more stability and less inflation that we see today, and less of the supply chain problems that we run into anytime there's a bump in the economic road.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, we got about 30 seconds. So, Sarah, any last words?
I think the main real communication that we want to have today is to make sure people realize that, we're not unique. We're not special. Our family has had a lot of adversity. We've had trauma, but you're able to go beyond and above that by having a strong unit, a family unit, a community. If you don't have family, make a community unit. Find people that can mentor you and teach you, and do things based on your values. Because long term, the value-based judgments that we make, and the way that I coach in the Dr. Haynes Collective is making value-based decisions every day will allow you to continue to persevere, because when the rubber meets the road, it's our values that keep us up late at night to make sure we keep our word and be a woman of our word or a man of our word, and get up early and do the things that we're have committed ourselves to improve our lives and our families' lives and our communities' lives.
Well, let me tell you, you two are special. And I certainly appreciate you coming on this show, the Small Business Report. And so, folks, there you have it. This is the Small Business Report. We'll be back next week with vital information that'll help you grow your business.
You've been listening to the Small Business Report, powered by PNC Bank, your weekly access to all the tools you need to succeed, with your host, Carl Brown, State Executive Director of the District of Columbia Small Business Development Center. Stay tuned to HUR Voices, Sirius XM, Channel 141, every Tuesday and Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. and Fridays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific for expert advice from business owners, subject matter experts, and government agencies. Each week, you'll learn tips on how to start, grow, and finance your business. The Small Business Report is supported by the DC Small Business Development Center, a partnership program nationally accredited by the Association of America's SBDCs, and funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration, Howard University, with Howard University serving as the network's headquarters. The Small Business Report on HUR Voices, Sirius XM Channel 141.